Despite all the horror stories that you hear about construction and contractors, permits, building material shortages, cost overruns, and project delays, the number one problem in all of construction is decisions, or specifically, the lack of timely decisions. Want a great construction or remodeling experience? Then let us show you how. Preparation for every project, whatever the size, is just a combination of required decisions that need to be made to define the exact size, look, feel, color, design, and makeup of that project. The larger the project, the more the decisions. The more decisions that need to be made, the more critical it is to make them early and long before the start of construction. Let's use a kitchen countertop as an example. In order for a countertop to be installed in a kitchen, the cabinets need to be laid out and installed, the material identified, and then the installers need to visit the site to make a template of the countertop location on the cabinets to determine the layout of the countertop. Then you must actually design the pattern of the material on that template to know how that material is going to lay out. Then you must decide on the edge details, the overhangs, the surface finishes of the material, the sink model, the location, overhang, and attachment of the sink. Then the faucets need to be decided, then they need to be laid out and location on the countertop, as well as in reference to the sink edge. All of these decisions need to be figured out before anybody can even purchase and fabricate the countertop material. On a large project, we have over 5,000 such decisions that need to be made by the design team and the homeowners for us to complete that project. 5,000 different decisions need to be made by people who are not the builders, and that list keeps growing every day as new materials are produced, new equipment is invented, and new ways of building are developed. Some of these decisions are easy, like paint color on the north wall of the primary bedroom, and some are much more difficult, like the door style on bath number 2 vanity, or the tile layout on bath number 3. When decisions are made, we can get fixed pricing on those materials and labor. We can find a supplier and order that material for delivery by a certain date, and can schedule that work for the future. When those decisions are delayed, we can only get approximate pricing for labor and budget pricing for materials, and none of those prices are fixed and can change at any moment. Additionally, when we don't have specific materials selected, we cannot purchase it. We cannot make sure it is on site for installation at the right time. Often, the contractor has to wait and wait for those decisions to be made, often long after that work was originally scheduled to happen. These cause massive delays in projects. After many years of planning our projects like other companies and suffering these delays, the discontinued materials, the broken deliveries, the project delays and subsequent crises that follow as we try to reschedule all the work following that, and the subsequent frustrations of the subcontractors, the architects, and the clients, we have learned that not making decisions is the source of almost all of our problems in our projects. So we decided to change how we developed our projects. Let's return to the countertop decision. If we don't make the countertop decision on time, we cannot install the countertop on time. And then the tile installer that follows, and the painter, and the electrician, and the appliance installer cannot do their jobs, resulting in the project manager having to reschedule each of them for a later date when they are free and hopefully available to come to our project site. In our company, we start planning for construction months before we start construction. We developed an entirely independent process called the pre-construction process that identified all of the decisions that we had to make during a project. Then we worked with the homeowners and the architect and the interior designers to make those decisions before the start of construction. At the start of pre-construction, we determine exactly what decisions need to be made for that specific project, who is going to make them, and when those decisions are due. Then we track those decisions and make sure that those decisions are made before we start construction. Then we buy the materials, get the pricing and availability of subcontractors so that our clients know how much their projects are going to cost, what they are going to look like when they're done, and when the work is going to be completed before we ever start working. Without those decisions being made, there is no way that we can know how much that project is going to cost, when the materials can be ordered, who is going to do the work, and when the work will be done, because everything is just an idea without any specifics. Think of it this way. Can Toyota sell you a car before the size of the tires has been determined by the designers, and the tires have been ordered by the factory and installed on the assembly line? Of course not. Yet somehow our industry has accepted this idea that customers will be happy when we constantly promise delivery dates and pricing security when we cannot possibly deliver either when we don't know what we're building yet. In some of our projects, the architect makes all of the decisions, and in others, the client makes most of them. For us, it doesn't matter who makes them as long as someone makes them before the start of construction. If you are thinking about starting a project, whether it is a new home or a remodel or even just replacing a toilet, do you wait until you need to install a toilet to decide what kind of toilet to get? Or do you decide on what toilet you're getting and then start the work? If you are working with someone who does not ask you for all the details before they start work, ask yourself, how do they know what I want before I have even decided what I want? And if you realize that they cannot, then ask yourself, what were they pricing out when they gave me that price for the work in the beginning? In closing, if you want a great project, built on time and on budget, plan on making a lot of decisions, either with your architect, your interior designer, your design build contractor, your builder, or your best friend. Those decisions have to be made eventually, so why would you wait until there are serious costs and consequences to making them later? If you wait until the construction phase to make up your mind, the stress of having to make them on a short timeline during construction is significant, and often people are unhappy with those decisions they make under duress and often have buyer's remorse and often change their mind. If you don't make them at all in time, you can face huge cost overruns and even larger delays. Lastly, what happens if you change your mind or realize you made a mistake when you're making these decisions under duress? During construction, it can cost tens of thousands of dollars to go backwards, while changing your mind during pre-construction, before the start of construction, often has no price and no consequence at all. Do yourself a favor. Plan your project and make your decisions ahead of time, before the start of construction, and then enjoy the construction phase, knowing you have already prepared for the rest of the project.